First went to Brenna Cranford. Second went to Carmen Knotts. Two of them will be back for the champion drive. Third in the intermediate division. Third went to Emma Harrison. Fourth went to Schaefer Hayden. Fifth, Aubrey Lambert. Sixth to Olivia Buck. Seventh to Rayleigh Barron. Eighth to Ariel Kearns. 9 goes to Elizabeth Nottingham. 10, James Holtz. 11, Grayson Armacost. 12, Owen Levia. And 13 goes to Jason Whiteman. Following this class, our judge will be selecting our intermediate champion. Our judge is Mr. Kip Williams from Indiana. He's a graduate from Purdue University. He's an ag education teacher up at Murray County High School. He's been judging livestock all across the United States. And I'm trying to get more information, but we're real happy to have Mr. Kip Williams doing a great job of giving his reason, explaining the classes here at the Maryland State Fair. This is the Maryland State colors. If I had a $500 bill, I would give it to the winner. Nobody claimed the Maryland State colors. There are 4 of them. I don't have a $500 bill, so that's okay, but the colors are red, white, yellow, and black. Maryland State color. This will be the last state. I'll talk about state colors, but who can tell me the Indiana state colors? The ring is our last class of our intermediate division. Thank you for your patience as we hit some glitches in organizing the classes and getting the entries in. think I separated two young men over here, and that's the first time we've got a couple boys kind of surface to the top up here today. I think both of them are really good. Obviously, contrasting styles are different. They're type and they're kind in the way they do it. But again, I don't think there's so much difference because when you get on this view or you get on the three-quarter view, both of them set them animals up incredibly well. The other thing I would say is we got a big one and we got a little one. Man, that's a big contrasting part there. But again, even if you can bring a small one out there like that and still present it and make it right, I don't have a problem with that in the world because I've dealt with them little ones. They're sometimes a little cantankerous and it gets a little difficult. Did a great job all the way through. Again, let's put our hands together. I think all these young people did a great job. And the best thing I can say is I think there was one young individual that came out here from the very beginning. And I'm a big person that talks about looking at them right when they come out of the gate. For that first 15 feet, he was in it to win it. He stayed with it. He's calm. He's cool. He did a great job showing all the way through. I know we're going to take and kind of contrast our styles a little bit here and what I have been picking, but the young man on the far end, you did a great job all the way through. I'm not going to take anything away from this young guy right here with the black cape, though, and again, if you've never shown it before and you bring a little one out there like that, it's not always easy to do. You can say, hey, them little ones are big, but he's a pretty big boy. Look at the way he sits there with his front end and his legs, and he uses that other leg to kind of control that goat to do it. That goat looks good all the time. Every now and then she wants to get a little short-strided, okay, and a little shorter in her body, but dude, the way you hold the head, the way you hold that neck, the way you get that one stuck and presented, I'm a big fan of yours. You did a great job, and unfortunately, we just had a young man just a little bit better out here today. So one more time, put your hands together for this young man for doing an outstanding job. I think when we get onto this side over here, there's several good showmen, particularly on the other end up here. I think just every now and then, I kind of kept mounted here a little bit longer, and you can see that they maybe weren't making those adjustments quite as easily as the two that we used ahead of them. Great showman, good group of people all the way through. 10 here did an outstanding job all the way through. I don't think there's anything majorly changed. I'll just take this. It's a hard gig. It's a hard thing. Every now and then, them goats don't want to work, and sometimes they overwork. And if you watch them, every now and then they want to push too hard. So there's that delicate line of in between there, and it's really hard to kind of comprehend it and to get it and master it like some of the people did ahead. So again, put our hands together for an excellent group all the way through, and we'll bring them first and seconds back in here for your champion out of that division. Congratulations, we'll get the results in a minute, but first and second will come back in for our drive. We need the official results of the last class. Okay, in our next class, we'll have our champion intermediate drive, and we have the winner for 11-13 of Brianna Cranford, and second was Carmen Knotts. And I'll get you the name of the winners of our last class. Bring these top two out of the classes that we had out of this division, and number one, I'm impressed. All of them do a great job. Contrasting style, I don't mind it a bit because I think all of them do a great job in the way they
from top to finish all the way through, and I think she's a justifiable reserve champion out of this division.
Okay, our grand champion, congratulations, Gavin McLeod. Our reserve was the winner of our earlier class was Brenna Cranford. Congratulations, Brenna, and Gavin will be coming back in later for the drive. Lined up at the door, we should have our winners from our contestants from our youngest class. My notes say we'll have Callan Armicles, Graham Armicles, Adriana Leeds, Ethan McLeod, Noah Walker, Knox Axline, Joseph Putman, Hayden Dinsmore, Kinsley Coles, Riley Missinger, Keegan Wilson, and Cole Summerfield. There's a phone that was left in the ladies' bathroom right across here. If you come by and identify it, you can pick it up. Hayden Schaefer, will you come by the desk? Hayden Schaefer. Well, if you love showmanship in big classes, this is your last one. If you're walking through the barns, you're at the Maryland State Fair. We are in our last class, and we'll then have our champion drive, winners of our previous classes. Come on by the goat barn, have some fun. Following the champion drive, I believe we're going to take a quick break to wet down the ring and get ready for our breeding classes. How many people out here in the ring showing the summer jackpot shows? Anybody? A couple of you?
again, another excellent group, and we only have one heat or one class, I guess, of this age group, but justifiably good. Several of them did a great job. I think when we look on my left over here, each and every one of them have different styles. They do good. And again, I think it's just little things. More than anything, probably experience in the ring and knowing when to move, when not to move, what profiles to be. And basically, you know, when you look at a judge and he's kind of walking around and he's trying to hone in and really make a place in there, try to make sure you're on point as quick as you can, the best ability to kind of save me a little time, more importantly, but more importantly, make your goat look the best at all times and how they do it. And again, I think when you look at them, and here's some constructive things I'd say. If you're going to use a halter, and particularly a chain halter, I would probably suggest using it before you come here, okay? And not just slapping one on when you kind of come in the show ring, because I think a couple of them are being a little contrary because they've never had that chain underneath them. They're more used to probably a rope or something like that. So we just need to kind of put these goats and the young kids in that position to kind of have success and do well all the way through. I think there's some pretty good showmen right through here that have some awfully good goats. Maybe they got a little frustrated, that goat wasn't operating quite as well. But again, that's why we showed these things several times. Tomorrow's a new day. And I think when you look through it, you're going to be very pleased at how you do. Just don't give up. And again, I'm not saying I'm always right. Take my criticisms the way they are. It's pretty easy to pick holes on them when you're placing them. But when you're talking about kids out here, it makes it very difficult. I'm not a big fan of like just going through and talking and criticizing and tearing down young people, because I think, number one, being out here is a win in my opinion, and they all did good. I think when we focus our efforts over here, I think we got two people that are quite different. I think they both brace and they both do good. I look at the young lady here with the black-headed wether, a real stout wether that does a nice job. She presents it very well. She does good all the time. She gets the feet and legs right. She knows where that goat needs to be. That's number one, the most important thing. She kind of puts that pressure back to make them lock into them back legs ever so slightly behind, and then when she puts that brace and that torque to it, that wether just kind of responds and looks very good. Kind of hard to put a hole in that one. It always looks good most of the time. I think young Davey did a great job. I will say this, okay? I think you did a great job. Just remember, it's you and you only, okay? Don't focus your attention outside the ring, okay? Keep it with me. Keep it in the judge. I'm saying that to you because you're good enough to do it all on your own, okay? Great showman all the way through. I think when we look at the young man here that's got this red wether, number one, if you like him intense, boy, you better grab a hold of him, because that is one intense son of a gun out here. And he comes through and he makes you look and he stares at you, and he does it because I'm telling you right now, he's taking pride in what he does. Look at the goat. The goat looks good. He looks good. He's presented incredibly well. I kind of like to see him turn his leg a little bit more instead of using that ball of your knee. Kind of use more the side of your knee. But again, head and neck's right. The goat looks good. You did a great job. Love the intensity. Love how you do it. Every now and then you can smile a little bit. That's what they kind of get on me about. I'm not a big smiler either. But you did a great job all the way through. Go ahead and put our hands together. We're going to shake the hand of your champion showman in this division. Again, a great showman, a great person, young lady right here. You're going to be a champion in this division. Followed by an awful video man in a second. Again, great quality class from top to bottom.
Okay, congratulations to all of our juniors. First and second, they'll both come back into the ring after they catch their breath. We'll have, first was Riley Meisinger, and second was Knox Axline. And we'll be coming back with senior winners was Chloe Koblentz and Alyssa Wheaton. And our intermediate winners was Gavin McLeod and Brenna Crawford. We'll get those ready. Sam will get you organized there in the ring. We'll have 5 of you coming back for the champion drive. top two from each of our divisions. Our champion senior division, we had Chloe Koblenz and we had Alyssa Wheaton. Our intermediate winners, we had Gavin McLeod and Brennan Crawford. In our junior division, we had Riley Missinger and Knox Axline. Congratulations, these are the top 6 in their divisions here at the great, I get the right fair now. Great, you gotta say Frederick, I think, but we're gonna call this the Maryland State Fair. People in Harford County think theirs is great, the people in Carroll County think theirs is great, but I say Carroll didn't have the best weather. We got a barn full of champions right now, right here. Our judge, Mr. Kip Williams, will be selecting our grand champion here.
Before we talk about these showmanship people, I know I've asked you guys to do this quite a bit, but I'm a big fan of showing our appreciation. Please put your hands together for an excellent, excellent group of 6 young people out here. And I'm here to tell you, there's some other good showmen back in the barn that maybe didn't make it quite this far, and that's okay. It's my opinion today. And maybe they just didn't suit the type of kind that I like, okay? And I'm just the guy out here today, and don't forget you can go to another show probably next week and get a whole totally different result. I'm totally fine with that. But that's why they bring different judges in here to just give you a different perspective, a perspective of how you show and what you like to see out here. I think they did a great job. And I think when you look out here, we don't need them to be cookie cutters all the way through, and they don't need to be identical in everything they do all the way through. But more importantly, they need to present themselves to the best of their ability. They need to stand upright. They need to look professional. They can be intense. They can smile. But the bottom line is this: boy, girl, big, little, color, paint, whatever you want to do. Look at the goats out here, and all of them are in their respective places and how they do things and how they present. I think a great group all the way through. Best thing I can say is, guys, thank you for giving me the opportunity to evaluate you out here today. I know we can only pick 2. So that means 4 of you is not going to be the happiest in the world, but you got through your divisions. You did incredibly well. One more time, guys, let's put your hands together for one of this group, and we're going to pick the champion showman.
Our intermediate was our champion showman, Maryland State Fair. Congratulations to Gavin McLeod.
We bring that second place one in again. That same type and style presents the animal incredibly well all the way through. I think, in my opinion, there's one that just did a little better job. I like the way they precept. I like the way they get into it. I like the way they present their animals all the way through. Again, tough decision on my behalf, but the one I'm going to use for reserve, I'm pretty confident in her today. Young lady with the black head, you're going to be reserved out here today.
Our reserve grand champion, congratulations out of the junior division, Riley Meisinger. Congratulations to all of you, great job. Our Showmanship Champion Challenge. My notes, I have 2 people coming back in to see if you can unseat Gavin McLeod. Gavin McLeod, you'll be coming back in, and we have check-in at the gate. We have 2 on my notes for the Champion Challenge. Alyssa Costa and Briley Francis.
Okay, before we bring those competitors out, any exhibitor with a bred-and-owned goat, please, and you want to compete in the bred-and-owned classes, please come up to the front desk here with your paperwork, and we will register you for those classes. Thank you.
have our Showmanship Champion Challenge. All three of these out here have been champions at the Maryland State Fair. Gavin was just selected today. We also have Alyssa Costa and Riley Francis. Gavin, you're focused on showmanship, but afterwards you need to stop by and fill out paperwork. You'll be the representative for the All-Star Showmanship Contest sponsored by the Farm Credit. We have paperwork that will need to be found, signed by Gavin. Someone in his family hopefully can pay attention and help us with that.
We bring back our former champions and our current champion and the young man today here and kind of put him in a position here for showmanship all the way through. And number one, this is the toughest class that I've had out here in front of me. All three of them do an outstanding job. And I think when you look through them, they get there, okay? Some of them get there a little differently than others, but more importantly is when that guy gets off the mic and he kind of wants to turn and he wants to focus in and look on the quality of where they're at before they get them stuck. And that's where it is, and they get a good picture and a good silhouette. More importantly, you've got a couple of them out here with weathers in their braces. I think they put a good enough brace on them. But again, look at the head, look at the necks, look at the positioning on all of them, and I think they all did an outstanding job. I think it comes down to this. It's personal preference and what you like to see and what you've been around the most. But more importantly, just how well they present, how well they talk to one another. All three of them are great young people. Again, appreciate all you three do. You've all been champions before. And again, I'm going to go ahead and hang up the mic, and I'm going to select your grand champion, Maryland State Fair showman this year. If you guys don't mind, go ahead and put your hands together again for a great, great class.
Gavin's information for the overall this week, sponsored by the Farm Bureau. Any showmanship pictures? Showmanship pictures. Now it's time to come up. If you'd like to come up. Any pictures? Come on up. Got the best photographer, state of Maryland, Delaware, somewhere. There will be a short break as we went down the ring. have on our record here 3 entries, Tegan Wilson, Wesley Hetrick, and Wesley Hetrick. Junior no kids registered. Following that class, we are intermediate no kids registered. Wesley Hedrick, your 2 entries we have in this class. Junior Doe Kids registered. In the ring, we have our Class 77, Tegan Wilson and Wesley Hedrick. Attention all exhibitors, if you're parked behind the goat pig barn, your vehicle has to be moved. Fire marshal is in the house. All cars along the back of the barn need to be moved up to lot A, right above the showroom. We bring in our first class of breeding does here, and I think we're going to lead the way they stand out here in front of me. To my right, the young man's going to win the class. I think he does so pretty handily. Here's the doe that's long and elegant about her front end, but more importantly, when you get down to the base, you look at her foot, you look at her bones. She's very quality in that aspect. She's bigger footed, bigger bone, longer sided, has more of the ideal rib shape that I'd like to do. More importantly, get right in there behind her. She's bigger topped and definitely works more muscularity and shape from the rear. Not to take anything away from the young ladies go, here's one that, boy, you get this one standing out here. Structurally correct? Yes, she is. Both all 4 toes go to point the right direction. Her head and neck is very elegant, long. She's good in her jowl or her jaw there. But I think when you kind of get through her as I work my way back on this doe, and particularly get back into that hip, she just wants to play out a little bit. Doesn't have the overall shape and dimension as her class winner does. But a very good doe that we're going to put in our second hole there. Let's go ahead and put our hands together for our opening doe show class. Congratulations, results of the Class 77 Junior Doe Kid. First one to Wesley Hedrick, second to Tegan Wilson. I believe they'll come back for a champion drive later, Wesley and Tegan. Coming into the ring next, we have a pretty big class in our intermediate Doe Kids registered. Lucas Said, 1 entry, Alyssa Costa, Kate Suprick, Preston Clark has 2 entries, Alyssa Costa, 1 entry, Harper Rutledge, 1, Elliot Weisher, Trent Pork, Gavin McLeod, Madeline Green, Elliot Weisher, and Lauren Syker. Please bring them to the ring. My records show 13 in this class. Okay, this is our class on deck in our next class. This should be easy. We have one entry in class 79, Quinn Hartner.
another very nice class out here, and we've got all different shapes and sizes, and I know the ages kind of make a difference, and you kind of, you know, you don't want to put the little ones way up there, but at the same token, if they're quality, I'm totally fine with putting a small one up and how they look and how they do. I think when we look down here, we've got our top 5 in this class. The one we're going to use to win, I think when that one cooperates, it's an awful good doe. You look at the length of front end, the elegance, the femininity that that one has, the width of chestboard that she brings all the way through, but more importantly, right when you get down on top of her, with a bigger rack, bigger loin, when that boy, you get right behind her, you like the width, you like the shape, you like the dimension, and you like the overall rib shape that one carries from the front flank all the way to the rear. Yes, I'll be the first one to admit, when we put that one in motion, I'm not the biggest fan of her. She kind of wants to get a little crazy on them hind legs just for me today. But again, I think when you look at her, and particularly like when I walked her out and I put one in front of her, she settled down just a little bit. She gave me that look. I think she's definitely adequate in the way she walks around the ring. But boy, that one's got a length of front power that you really like to start off with this time. I think 2 and 3 is where it gets difficult for me. Both of them are different in their overall type and kind. The young man here that brings the red cake one in, well, that's just a good doe. Big-footed, big bone. Look at the rib shape. Look at the flank all the way through. More importantly, just look how that one style and balance works from front to rear all the way through. An awful good one, but I think when you compare it with our class winner, I just need to see more of it. I need to see more muscularity, more shape, particularly when I put my hands there on the end of it. I would just play down a little bit as far as its loin shape compared to the one that we used right ahead of him. But a nicely balanced, good doe that definitely has a purpose out here at the show ring, and definitely in her own type of time really is a nice doe to kind of go through. The one that's questionable to me is the one I put here in third. I really had this doe all the way from first, then I put her to second, then I put her to third, all the way through. And here's why. That's just an awful good doe. I don't think she has just all the elegance and all the framework and all the femininity that some of the ones that we put ahead of them do, but that one's long enough neck, good enough in her spine, really good in her jowl. I like the way that one's jaw looks and how it kind of comes through. Very good on its feet and legs. Every now and then just gets a little bit plain to me. Maybe just doesn't play out quite as well with some of the 2 that we put ahead of them. And I think my telltale story is we get that one stopped, we get her right in there. You get right down into the base of the chest and the width of the chest there. That one just kind of wants to throw a little bit forward and kind of get a little too much brisket for me to kind of play with the ones right ahead of them. Awful good doe that we're putting in third there. 4th and 5th, and I think when you look at them, here's your 2 big ones in the class, and I don't have a problem with that as long as they're quality. Here's 2 big quality ones. The young man brings a black paint or dapple, however you want to put it in there. Here's a doe that's really good. Love the growth, love the size, love the type that she has. Again, be careful, and I think it's kind of the color pattern just a little bit. When you get right down there in the chest and that white spot right there, she wants to get a little bigger in her chest. I know there's a little bit of color there, but I think also you kind of get her locked in right there. She wants to throw just a little bit forward for me. Maybe not as clean and as elegant as I would like to see her. Big frame, whaled ribs, good job all the way through. Get down on that one's top line, get behind him. That's just a good dapple black doe there that we got there coming out that I like quite a bit. It's definitely going to be awfully good to beat in maybe a respected division with their own type and kind down here. The biggest one that we got out here, without a doubt, this one's big and this one's the largest. Appreciate it. It's grown, it did good, it's fed well. It's also a pretty good doe when you get looking at it. Long-sided, great tall fronted. I think more importantly, here's one that with that size, with that frame, I just need to see a little bit more. She kind of grew more upright than she did kind of out. I need to, maybe in my opinion, kind of put her on a little harder feet, feed her a little bit longer. I think if that one kind of just explodes and kind of works outward instead of upward, that's an awful good doe. Like the way you present her, did a great job showing all the way through. Awful good class out here in our top 5, not to take anything away from the young people that we had out here, but on elegance of time and time management, we'll talk about the on top 5 in each class and got to throw through. But these ones right here, when we look at them, and I evaluate them, I guess. The best thing I can say is this. If you look at the ones we put ahead of, we just need more. We need more shape. We need more muscularity to kind of go all the way through. You guys did a great job. Congratulations to our top 5 in that class.
Class 78, congratulations to Maddie Green in first place, Elliot Weishar in second place, and Elliot Weishart in third place. Gavin McLeod in fourth place, Lauren Seichert in fifth place, Preston Clark in sixth place, Preston Clark in seventh place, Alyssa Costa in eighth place, Harper Rutledge in ninth place, Alyssa Costa in 10th place, Kaden Schuprick in 11th place, and Trenton Horrocks in 12th place. Next class, class 79, Senior Doe Kid Register. We have one exhibitor, Quinn Hartner.
Well, you've maybe disagreed with me on some of these other ones, but I promise you I got this one right, a single entry in here, but the lady brings an awful good one in here, and I think when we talk about depth of body and rib shape, that one's really good. Flat, angular in the shoulder, elegant up front, good enough on its feet, legs, an awful good single entry that definitely can stand some competition. Let's go ahead and put our hands together for the young lady who brings in a nice doe.
We'd like to congratulate Quinn Hartner on exhibiting his first place Senior Doe Kid. We're now ready for Class 80, Junior Yearling Doe, not kidding and registered. I believe we're looking for 11 entries. 11 entries. Please bring in the ring at this time. The exhibitors include Elena Martin, Wesley Hedrick, Hannah Gendel, Lauren Seichert, Ellie Summerfield, Charlotte Lancaster, Alyssa Costa, Deanna Seichert, a second entry by Deanna, Elliot Washauer, and a second entry by Wesley Hedrick. Birth dates on these does range from October 29, 24 to May 11, 25. Again, 11 entries. I am looking for Class 81, Senior Yearling Doe, not pitted, to ringside.
nice class that we have out here, and pretty competitive all the way through, but I think there's one in there to win this class and does it quite handily. The young lady right here that's got the solid red dough. Boy, that's a pretty good one. You've heard me talk about length of front. Maybe not the longest front we had out here, but her neck attachment's right. Her angularity's right in that front shoulder, and the way she attaches there is absolutely perfect to me. Follow her neck all the way up into her jowl line and the way her head, big, broad-headed, great jaw all the way through, bringing down into the top line. That one's tall fronted, more importantly, just kind of has just ever so slightly a swoop to that top line where it powers up into that big hip and hind leg that she has. Very symmetrical all the way through, very muscular all the way through, good enough on her feet and legs all the way through. Really a nice doe that we're going to use to win this class. Not to take anything away from our second place though here, the colored up one. Boy, you want to talk about front end, and I guess if you can kind of combine the two, boy, that would make a really good one out here. That one definitely is longer and cleaner throughout the front 1/3 of her body and the way her neck attaches all the way through. I question it again. The older she gets, she kind of wants to throw out that chest a little more than ideal. And I know this sounds weird, but she's so super long bodied that every now and then, her being that long spine, she just gets a little awkward when she walks out there. And I want to see her kind of stouting up down low like the one ahead of her with more foot and more bone all the way through. But boy, there's a pretty one, long-sided and incredibly good the way she's made all the way through. She kind of floats around the ring. I like that one quite a bit to go in that second hole. Third, fourth, and fifth here gets difficult. And I'll tell you, in my opinion, how I see them. This one here just quite truthfully balances up better. And I think when you look at them and we evaluate livestock from the ground all the way up, look at the foot size, look at the bone, look at the way she positions that front end in her width of chest. She keeps her relatively good in her chest floor, but more importantly, the angle to her front shoulder is more ideal to me, and she's more true in her overall muscularity and shape and condition all the way through. And I think logically, just because of all those things, she's the most complete one that we need to put in third here today compared to the two that we put ahead of them, but more importantly, more style, more balance than the two that we put behind them here. Here's a difficult pair for me, and I think when you look at it, you kind of pick your poison. The young lady that we're going to put forth here, quite truthfully, I think when you look at it and you talk about stoutness, that's why she's there. And I think more importantly, when you get in here in the bottom line of that one, and you look at her chest, and you look at her depth of rib, and her angularity, and her spring, and her arch to her rib, she simply has more. And then I think you kind of work your way back and get into that rear plane. There's where she excels our fifth place though in this class. She just has more balance, particularly in her underline. Here's one again that I think when you watch her walk, I just want to kind of functionally pull her out wider and make her walk a little truer compared to some of those out there. But again, a very nice doe that we put forth here. And I'm a sucker for a good looking one. And here's one that's good looking. I love the front end. I like the head and neck. I guess to me, when you get one that big, kind of like we talked about in that last class, I think she's growing more upright. I need her to stop right there and just kind of mass up and power up and show off what she's got there. And if she just got to keep on working and then exploding and put more power and more muscle and more shape to her, that's going to be an awful good doe to compete with. Just unfortunately today she doesn't have that, but I think in time she will. Really a nice class here. Our top five was excellent. We look all the way through here, and without sounding like a broken record, and I think you look at them, they're good goats. They're quality goats. We have some structure issues on the way through, and we just need some more style, more balance, but more importantly, just more explosion and more rib shape and more muscularity to kind of compete with those five that we put ahead of them. Go ahead and put your hands together for a really nice class that we had out here today.
Results of Class 80. First was awarded to Deanna Syker with registration number 324. Second was Deanna Syker with registration 325. Fourth was Lauren Syker. Fifth, Alyssa Costa. Sixth, Ellie Summerfield. Seventh, Elliot Weishauer. Eighth, Elena Martin. 9th, Wesley Hetrick, and 10th, Hannah Gendell. If you're reading down your program, 8, a write-in of Wesley Hetrick, 10, 4, 6, 3, 5, 2, 1, 7, and Wesley's Rum Livin' the Dream is moved to this class with Quinn Hartner. At the conclusion of this class, we will be selecting your champion and reserve junior meet doe.
We bring a class of 2 out here, and I think both of them are pretty good in their own type and kind. There's ever so difference in them. I think if you look at their front ends and their paint colors, there's some differences. And I think more importantly, as a judge, go back to what makes you feel comfortable, what you've been kind of using all day long and kind of going through that, the one that just brings more to it. The young man that we're going to use right here in front of me is going to be your winner out of this class, and I think does so quite handily, and more importantly, hard for you guys to see maybe on the stands, but in my view, right when you get over top of this one, there's where the telltale is. I was just bigger back, bigger loin, and just have to. And I think when you really particularly get there in that pin seven, that's where she really kind of blows apart. I really like that about her and how wide and functionally set she is throughout her pin. But more importantly, here's a doe that again, you watch her walk out here, she's good enough on her feet and legs, she kind of frames all the way through. A doe that has a tremendous amount of rib shape and dimension to her. Maybe not as elegant as the one that we're going to put in second here. Here's that front end that we talked about without sounding like a broken record. I like good front end. I think they need to be pretty. I think they need to be female looking, but more importantly, I think if you can get that, and then you can kind of strap on that muscularity and shape to kind of go with that class winner, that's an awfully good doe. Unfortunately today she doesn't have that, but that's an awful good second place doe. Again, put her hands together for a pair of does that we had out there in that class.
Results of Class 81 is as follows. Wesley Hetrick was moved from Class 80 to 81, was first, and Quinn Hartner was second. We are now going to be selecting our champion and reserve champion junior meet doe. Back in the ring at this time, we have the following exhibitors. From Class 77, we have Wesley Hetrick with a doe's birth date of 1/30/26. Entering the ring at this time from Class 77, Junior Doe Kid, first was awarded to Wesley Hetrick. In Class 78, Intermediate Doe Kid was exhibited by Madeline Green. From Class 79, you have Quinn Hartner. Birth date on that doe is 12/21/2025. And from our from Class 80, Deanna Sykert is exhibiting a doe with a birth date of January 16, 2025. And from Class 81, we should have Wesley Hetrick. Birth date on this doe is 10/29/2024. Your seconds are being represented as follows. Tegan Wilson from Class 77. Elliot Weishauer from Class 78. Deanna Sykert from Class 80 and Quinn Hartner from Class 81.
we're going to try this. I hate to talk over our pig judge down there that's given a very good set of reasons, and I think when we come out here into our championship drive, particularly in this junior division, really a nice set all the way through. Maybe didn't have huge numbers, but again, I think the quality was there, and I think, again, it goes without saying, I think we got some really good does, but more importantly, we have some really good kids out here that are really showing the heck out of them. I appreciate it all the way through. We talked about them, and you heard me say it on the mic several times. I'm one that's a sucker for a beautiful front end, but more importantly, I think there's more to it than just that. They got to have some width in chest, they got to have some arch and spring of rib, and yes, they do have to have muscularity and shape from front to rear. You keep that all in a relatively good female or feminine package, which makes them a female. Yes, we're talking muscles and those, and I think that's incredibly important. And I think you need to have the right shape, the right kind of muscle to kind of correlate it in. And I'm the first one to admit, I think you can take a heavy muscle one and definitely make it look like a female, as long as you keep it in the right package. One of the big things that I haven't said out here today, I think you add all those things together, you put them in a good running gear, and how they work, they just need to be good looking in the show ring. And some of these does are just good looking show does all the way through. And I think when you do that, you add that last word, and I'm a big one on this all the way through, balance. And when I talk about balance, if I look at them, I want their front ends to be right, their attachments to be right. They need to have the rib shaped correctly all the way through. And yes, they need to look good enough on their feet and legs. And just bottom line, they need to be able to take a good picture and look balanced all the way through and be good and angular in their own type of kind. But more importantly, they need to be females and all the way through. There's a pair of them out here that I landed on earlier on, and I'm not going to change my mind. I think there's a couple of them that just came out here, and quite truthfully, they smoked the show. I think they're that good. I think there's one in particular I'm going to grab a hold of, and you can argue all day long. I promise you this. You're not going to change my opinion, because there's a doe out here that I think not only stands her place right out here today, but more importantly, she can go anywhere she wants to go, and I think she's going to be competitive. That's how good I think she is. I appreciate her. Young lady did a great job showing this all red doe right here. She's going to be your champion, followed up by the one that was second class to her right here for your reserve.
Congratulations to Deanna Seichert from Class 80. Last three of that registration number is 324. Reserve in that division was Deanna Seichert with the last three digits of the registration number as 325. In the ring now, we have Class 84, does 2 years and 2 years old registered. We have two exhibitors, Lucas Sed and Madeline Green. Birth dates on these does are February 11th, or it's January 24 to February 24. I'm looking for Class 85 to ringside.
we bring in a pair of these older does, and I think it gets pretty difficult because I think they're both in different rig and different shape. But again, I think when you really get critical and you analyze, you try to find those good parts again and kind of surface those, I think it kind of gets cut dry. The young lady right here with the more traditional colored one, I think is going to win the class. And more importantly, it's me, and I'm looking out here, it's just longer sided and stouter made all the way through. And I think again, you kind of get through there, she's smaller deck, she's more feminine all the way through. Yeah, she wants to get a little chesty, okay, and I think that comes with age, and more importantly, I think she just wants to kind of show her age ever so slightly there. She's a little longer bladed than ideal for me, but boy, get past that front end, and particularly that front shoulder, love her rib shape, love her balance, like her muscularity, and like her shape all the way through. Not to take anything away from the all black doe here, again, a very nicely balanced doe, but just
We're now ready for 3-year-old does and older. I'm looking for 3 entries. All right, folks, in the class now, we have class 85. These does are 3 years and older. I have 4 entries, including Wesley Hetrick, Alyssa Costa, Kate and Charlotte Lancaster. At the conclusion of this class, we will be selecting your champion and reserve senior doe, and then your overall champion and reserve registered doe.
All right, we got them lined up now and how they work. And I think, again, I didn't take too much time. I kind of quality sorted those pretty quick on feet, legs, and overall style and balance. And truthfully, overall rib shape, yeah, I probably used the heaviest one in here. And I don't have an issue with that at all because I think she's the best one. Boy, she's super long-sided. She's great in her top line. I like the way that one runs uphill and kind of gets going with her. More importantly, I think when you really analyze her, for her being in this class and where she is, she's bigger-footed, bigger boned, and just more to her. But I think the biggest telltale story, in my opinion, is when we put these does in most of this one, quite truthfully, just gets out and walks better than any of the others above. Really a nice doe to lead off the class with. Young man, you did a great job. Third, fourth, and fifth, I think it gets pretty challenging, and I will say this. The black-headed one here is probably the smallest one in the class, without a doubt, and that means weight-wise, and I don't know about height-wise, but weight-wise, she's probably one of the lightest ones in the class. The reason she's going second is quite truthfully, she's better on her feet and legs. She gets out, she walks, she travels right, she's better on her pastures, she kind of flows on that back leg. Her skeletal design and overall makeup is awfully good in my opinion, and logically I commend her for that because that doe, you kind of get her set off to the side, she's pretty good in the way she's balanced up and how she does it. Third and fourth, and here's where my challenge is, and I'll say this. I think if you look at the doe in third, boy, she's got a bunch of rib shape. That's the first thing that grabs your attention and you really appreciate her. But I think when you kind of ever so slightly look at her and you watch her walk and you get her feet and legs down, look at her pastures right above her hoof there. She kind of wants to get a little squishy. She just wants to drop down just a little bit. And when she does so, her dew claws kind of hit the shavings a little more than ideal for me. And just gets a little more squishy footed come time to wear her side. But I would say when you really look at her and analyze her quite truthfully, she gets off and gets moving better than the one that we're going to put forward here. The one in forward, you commend her. Boy, that's a big doe. She's got that elegant front end. I really, really like that about her. Unfortunately, when I look at this one, I say her front one half, I really like, and that's one you can grab a hold of. But unfortunately, I got to work my way back, okay? And when I do so, when that one gets out and walks around the ring, she just doesn't want to travel, particularly off that right hind leg. She wants to get a little straighter, and when she walks out around the ring, you'll watch her ever so slightly throw that leg out and just kind of bring it in. I just need to see her have more give, more flex, more overall time to kind of walk out of the ring and follow that trail, kind of more so like the one we put ahead of them. But a really nice class, really a good class winner out of that one. Go ahead and put your hands together for a great group.
We'd like to congratulate our exhibitors in Class 85. First was awarded to Wesley Hedrick, second to Alyssa Costa, third to Cadence Suprick, and fourth to Charlotte Lancaster. Reading down your program, 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're coming back into the ring here to select your senior doe. From Class 84, we're bringing Madeline Green. Birth date on this doe is 1/24. From Class 85, we have Wesley Hedrick. This doe's age is February 24. Your seconds are from Lucas Stead and Alyssa Costa.
We bring back in our seniors here and we kind of bring them all together. There's only 3, but I think all 3 of them have some quality and they're good in their own right. But more importantly, look at the way the young people are kind of getting these guys presented out here. I really think there's a good group all the way through. I talked about them. I'm not going to change patterns. I'm going to keep with that same type. I like them to be stout. I like them to be big-footed, big boned. Yes, they got to be right in their skeleton and they got to strap on some muscularity. But let's never forget, these are females and they still got to throw out that femininity and that elegance, ones that can just lay down and have some kids and make it profitable for everybody all the way through. Really a good group. Go ahead and put our hands together. The young man right here is going to be champion out here in the business. I think when we kind of bring the ones back down here, and yeah, you'd want to say you want to suit tight and kind and all the way through, but I think you really need to get critical. And sometimes you just need to step back and say, man, where do you see the bigger holes, or how do you see the bigger issues? And I don't think either one of them are terrible in their own time, but I think one just brings more positives. No, she's not the stoutest one. I'll be the first one to admit. I like the way she's built. I like
result of your senior doe division is as follows. Congratulations, your champion senior doe was exhibited by Wesley Hedrick, and your reserve senior doe was exhibited by Alyssa Costa. We are now going to select your grand champion registered doe. From your junior doe division, I am looking for Deanna Steicher. Registration last 3 is 324. Luna is the name. And then Wesley Hedrick from our senior doe class. Your seconds are as follows. Deanna Steicher is exhibiting Marguerite from your junior division, and Alyssa Costa brings us your reserve from your senior division. At the conclusion of this, we'll be looking for Madeline Green with her dam and daughter. Buck Kid exhibitors, start getting them ready. We are shortly going to be with you.
When we kind of bring our our division winners back out here, and I hope, in my opinion, I did a well enough job explaining what I like to see and how I focused and what I saw in those does and how they work. Number one, I would say this: all 4 of them are pretty darn good. All 4 of them have a place, and here's the best thing about it: I do believe all 4 of them are the type of does that these kids can take home, or if they're on a lease program and or whatever, they can take back and they can breed, and they're going to breed above themselves, and you can match them to the right type of bucks to kind of make it work all the way through. You got to start with that foundation, and when you start with a good foundation, I promise you this: you keep a good one, you breed a good one to a good one. Hopefully you kind of get out there and you just excel and you breed some better ones all the way through. I tip my hat in the class. I'm not going to change my mind, guys. There's a pair of them out here that I think are awfully good. I've talked about them in class. I talked about them in division. I'm not changing my mind. I'm going to go one that's right here. The red will be your grand. The one on the second will be your reserve. Really a nice pair of those that I'm going to use to win out here.
We would like to congratulate your grand champion registered doe was exhibited by Deanna Steicher from your junior division, and your reserve grand champion registered doe was exhibited also by Deanna Steicher, and that registered name is Marguerite. We have a single entry, dam and daughter. I'm looking for class 89, class 89. Buck kids, please make your way to ringside, class 89.
Kind of changing up a little bit. We're going with the dam and daughter, and I think here's one that, if you heard me talk about in the last part, I said those are the type of does that you can take back, breed, and hopefully propagate and make them better. Here's an example of one that did, and I think here's a great example. Got a big doe out here that still looks the part, still good in her balance, still looks good, fresh, and feminine all the way through. And then you kind of look at her kid that we're putting right there next behind it. I think definitely we wanted to kind of improve the overall mass and the smallness of the blade. That she did. More importantly, she strapped on a whole bunch of muscle and kind of a pretty good package. Really a good pair out here that we're going to use to win in the dam and doe part of it.
Congratulations to Madeline Green on your first with your dam and daughter. Into the ring at this time, we're bringing our buck kid registered. We only have 2 registered bucks in this show, so they are going to go on to be your champion and reserve champion buck.
We're bringing a pair of bucks out here to kind of analyze, and we're going to move around because one of them is quite truthfully not cooperating the best you'd like to see. But again, the one that we're going to use is going to be this red cape shouldered buck right here with the young man showing to win the class. And I think when you get out to it, and now we kind of settled down, I think he's good enough in his overall makeup and his structure. But more importantly, if you look at particularly the hip on these two, this one just has more balls and shape and muscularity all the way through. Maybe just a little longer and cleaner about his head and neck. Yeah, he wants to get soft there in his middle ever so slightly. But boy, that one just packs a world of punch and a lot of muscularity and shape to kind of win this class. Not to take anything away from the young ladies one here, she did a great job. That one definitely cooperated all the way through. I think when you look at it and you talk again, it's just a little frailer. It doesn't have the overall shape. More importantly, I get right there just and I analyze that one from the shoulder back. I look at that one and I say that one's a little deeper chested and maybe a little tighter flank than you ideally like to see. And with that, I think it just gives you that unbalanced look all the way through. Kind of doesn't quite cooperate, quite work as well as far as style and balance as our class winner did all the way through. But the young lady's doing a great job with that buck.
Result of your registered meat buck class is as follows. Your grand champion registered buck was exhibited by Gavin McLeod, and your reserve by Alexis Sports. Class 91 is bred and owned junior meat goat. I'm looking for Ellie Summerfield and Elliot Weishauer. We would like to congratulate Deanna Sykert. She will be named your bred and owned breeding goat senior. I believe we have something for her here at the ring if she would like to come up. She was your grand champion registered doe and therefore is your grand champion senior breeding, bred and owned breeding meat goat senior. So Deanna, please come up and get your award, and our judge will pick your junior.
I think when we bring these two back in, they're two that we've obviously saw in class before, and I quite truthfully, I remember them and how they work and how they are. And the one that I remember the hardest, and I think the one that I talked about balance and I talk about style, one that just puts more positives together without using too many negatives. Is it the stoutest one? Is it the heaviest muscled one we've seen out there today? No, it's not. But I'll tell you, there's a lot to that. You still got to have a good foundation, a good rib shape, and a good body build to kind of make it. And then we can strap on that muscle with maybe some of these heavier duty bucks all the way through. Again, a great pair out here. I think they both did awesome as far as bred known. I commend them for that. It's not easy. I promise you this, guys. It's not easy to raise goats. And if you've never done it before, try it. But I promise you this, you better have a vet on the stall all the time. And you better have friends that you can call, because there's never the same thing on any given day. They change, they change, they change all the way through. To get them this size, I commend them. They did a great job. Go ahead one more time, guys. Let's put our hands together for the young man right here that's going to have your reserve in this division.
We would like to congratulate Elliot Weisschauer for exhibiting the champion bred and owned meat goat. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are moving into your junior doe kid commercial division. All right, guys, here we go. Nine junior doe kids. Birthdays are ranging from, looks like around January 9th to March 20th, 2026. I'm looking for class 78 to the makeup area. Again, class 78 to the makeup area. All right, I'm looking for class 77 commercial junior doe kids. Noah Wachter, Rayleigh Barron, Elena Martin, Noah Wachter, Jason Weidman, Olivia Buck, Jamie Lynn Weidman, Grayson Armacost, and Emma Harrison. I got Emma. If any of those exhibitors that I have called out are here, they need to be in the ring right now. Your class is in the ring. I'm going to run through one more time. I need the following exhibitors, or we're going to go ahead and move on with the class. Noah Wachter, Rayleigh Barron, Elena Martin, Noah Wachter, Jason Weidman, Olivia Buck, Jamie Lynn Weidman, Grayson Armacost, and Emma Harrison. If you have exhibitors who are showing pigs and goats, you need to let us know so we can help work around that. Or someone has to help show. All right, where are we at here?
that we got out here that there's some different shapes and sizes, and I'm okay with that. I think it comes down to this. We need to sort by quality, and I don't care how big or little they are, as long as we're finding the best ones to kind of bring the most positives to the table, and I think that's what we can do. The young lady right here, I talked to her, she said she blew her knee out, and you know, to talk, I live in Georgia now, and I've got twin daughters that show a lot and everything, and the funny thing is my daughter in the last show blew her knee out, and it's kind of one of those things, but take all that aside, she came out here, she's trying, she sucks it up, she's got her braces on, or a brace on, and her crutches, and she brought out a pretty good goat, and I think that's the most important thing. When you really look through all that and you put the goat in here, this one's got the most, and I think when you look at her all the way through, big foot, big bone, I love the way that one drops down in her flank, and again, I put my hands on that one, and I handle it, she just quite truthfully works more shape, dimension out of a rat into that loin, and then again, I think when you look at her, I like the way that tail set is on that one, a little more upright, a little more level, kind of gives that one the impression that it wants to drive uphill and kind of work through it. It's a pretty good doe that has a lot to her to kind of win the class. The black doe that we're putting in second, I'll be the first one to admit, no, that one's not the heaviest muscled one, and she wants to play out a little bit in that lower hip, particularly in that lower 1/3 of her quarter all the way through. But boy, that one's built awfully good. Look at the way that one's upright in its front shoulder. Look at the long length of neck, the femininity all the way through, the balance and the overall style that one possesses. More importantly, just look at the shoulder blade, the angularity to it. That one's just built right, built good, and because of those, I think all those factors kind of play in that, you know, we're going to overlook muscle just a little bit in here, but we still got to kind of push the shape and the dimension. You got to have a good platform on there to kind of do there. That's where that doe logically fits, in my opinion. Just a really nice, balanced doe that obviously don't have the shape and dimension of our class winner, but boy, the structural build's awfully, awfully good. I do appreciate that about her a lot. Then we kind of come with this red doe, and here's one that's intriguing to me. I think for her shape and her size and her type and kind, you've got that one in the right rig in the way she's done. I think when you kind of get analyzing and you look there, particularly where the neck wants to meet into that shoulder, kind of gets a little bit taller up in that blade, just not as ideal as I'd like to do. And I just want to take the lower base of that one's neck, kind of upright it a little bit more, and give it a little better neck attachment all the way through to kind of compete with the two that we put ahead of them. But boy, here's one the young man's done an obviously good job feeding that one. That doe's in right rig for me. She's in right shape. I just need to change her up front and her front 1/3 to kind of compete with the two that we put ahead of them. Fourth place and fifth place, I think we kind of get down here. Here's two does that are pretty similar in their type and kind, in my opinion. And I think there's ever some difference of subtleties that we kind of place them by. I think the one that we're going to put forth, I always logically go back to that brown functionality and the way they're built. This one's just quite truthfully bigger footed, bigger boned. And I think when you look at her, she just smashed it a little more massive, a little stouter and overall physical makeup, kind of the one that we're going to put in fifth there. But a doe that, in my opinion, is a good doe. I need to change her a little bit in her hip to kind of make her move all the way through. I like the way she's built down low. I just need to see her change this ever so slightly in the hip. And then her fifth place doe here, I think again, I kind of talk to that one, and I'm a sucker for one that I think's built right, and that one's built good. I like the smallness of the shoulder. That logically kind of works in her advantage here, kind of compared to some of these other ones as to get a little bigger in the front blade and everything like that. I think when we analyze her, she's a little frail. Okay? I need to see her a little stouter, but more importantly, if I can just give her ever so much more muscularity, particularly in that lower 1/3 of her hip, I think that'll really move her up all the way through. Good class, good logical class, in my opinion. here, and to be totally transparent on the mic, and I'll be honest in everything there's just not one out here that just wants to say, hey, pick me today and win. And I think that gets pretty challenging because we got a lot of different shapes, a lot of different kinds, and a lot of different types out here, and it makes it pretty difficult. And I'll be the first to admit, if you're standing over here and you're looking at them, you're going to say, well, now wait a minute, you've got them all jumbled up here and they're kind of confusing in the way they are. I'm okay with that, but give me the opportunity to speak to you and tell you how I see them, how I read them, and what there is. The young man that's going to win the class, I think he does so just because. And I think when you look at that one, she's long enough fronted, she's good enough in her chest, she's great in her foreribs, she handles the best out of all 5 of them out here. But more importantly, I think when you look at that one, she's got the muscularity, she's got the shape to kind of go ahead and win. When we get off on this angle right here, does she get a little sloppy in her middle and want to break behind her shoulder? Absolutely she does. But I think when you look at her, one that's that stout, that thick, and that has that much punch and power all the way through, she's adequate in the way she's built. She's good enough in her structure. And I think in a class like this, you just can't throw away those factors to kind of get her anywhere else but first in this class. Is she perfect? No. But is she a good doe? Absolutely yes. I think that doe has a good place in anybody's breeding program. There's a few subtle things that we want to change, but an awful good one to kind of lead off the class. Then we come down to second and third. Number one, the obvious this thing is, I've kind of got the smallest goat here in the class, and I'm using her second, and I'm okay with that, because I think when you talk about structure, you talk about build, and you've heard me say, you know, just the overall length of shoulder and the right ankle to the shoulder, this doe has that. Beautiful fronted, beautiful chest, absolutely ultimate, clean in her chest for her. She has done it all. She really sucks that back through. I analyzed that one. Shoulder blade, it's shoulder bladed, right angle to it, and kind of carries that width or that depth and dimension and spring and arch to her rib all the way back and through into a very nicely balanced package. Get into the hips of them, and there's where our critical point is. This one is quite truthfully better hip. And I think when you go there and you look at it from this angle, this one just kind of wants to put her tail up a little higher in her fin placement and gives her a nicer balanced look. But more importantly, when the real telltale thing comes through, when we set these guys in motion, this one just quite truthfully is better off on her front feet and legs, but more importantly in that hind leg aspect all the way through. The doe that we're going to put third, I think when you look at this one and you just strictly judge them on the standstill, a lot of the big ticket items and numbers that I told you guys are things that I'm kind of emphasizing and talking about. Yeah, she has all those. Really great in her front shoulder. Really good and really elegant in her front 1/3 and her neck placement and everything like there. I think she's a little longer here than ideal for me out here. But boy, you get on this angle, look at her stall, look at her jaw. Very, very good in all those aspects. Shoulder blade's okay. It's definitely acceptable all the way through. Work your way back. Her rib shape, her dimension, obviously big and stout and powerful. And again, I get back to that hip, okay? There's my placement on it, but I just don't think she gets out and walks good enough. And if you look at her standing there, she kind of wants to slope from hooks to pins, kind of holds that tail placement a little lower than ideal, and just one that I need to see move better, particularly off them hind legs when she gets out and walks around the ring. Good doe. We just need to change a few things in the structure to kind of move her up in that class. Young lady does a great job, and I'm here to tell you, she showed it out for the most part. She almost had this guy pulled, and unfortunately, it took a little longer than I should have for her, and I kind of caught it there at the end. Then we kind of got fourth and fifth. We got two colored does out here that are big and burly, and got some rib shape and dimension to them. But again, I think when we look at it, we need to change a few things, stouten them up a little bit, but more importantly, look up at that front 1/3. I need to see them a little cleaner chested, and then we get behind them, I just need to see more. And when I talk about more, I need to see more shape and dimension and touch and tone to their loin, and more importantly, into that rack to kind of place with the 3 that we put ahead of them. Really a good class, challenging class for me out here today.
Results of Class 77. First was Elena Martin. Second, Jamie Lynn Wyndham. Third, Noah Wachter. Fourth, Noah Wachter. Fifth, Rayleigh Barron. Sixth, Jason Weidman. Seventh, Emma Harrison. Reading down your program, 451, 36 scratch, 2 scratch 7. Class 78 is as follows. Results of Class 78, Part 1. First was Gavin McLeod. Second was Brianna Crawford. Third was Alyssa Costa. Fourth was Caitlin Carter. Fifth was Noah Wachter. Sixth was Dylan Ridinger. Seventh was Dylan Ridinger. If you're reading down your program, 1, 6, 7, 4, 3, scratch, 3, 2, 5. At the bottom of page, At the bottom of the page, Noah Wachter starts our new class with Alyssa Costa, Elliot Weishauer, Dylan Pulling, Caitlin Carter, Bella Verdiglione, Deanna Seichert, Carmen Knotts, and Ashton Rohr.
nice class that we have out here, and I'm going to start talking about our third place one down here on the end that we go with. Just doubling things up. Here's the doe that's really intriguing to me. Yeah, she's pretty rock hard when you touch her. I like the feel. I like the way that one handles herself all the way through. And I think more importantly, she's a little shorter in her hair, and I understand that. But boy, that one drives uphill, looks awfully good. Like the rib shape, like the dimension. I just think when you kind of get down low, she wants to get a little closer to the base of her shoulder, but more importantly, just don't have the overall muscularity and shape of the two that we're going to talk about here in a little bit. Then I think we got another one that kind of fits that pattern. I like the front end, I like the belly, I like the dimension. I think she just plays out, particularly in a rack placement there. You got to get touching on that one. She just doesn't want to play the overall shape and dimension and the texture and the tone of some of the ones that we put ahead of them. And I think really a nice doe that's very proportionate in the way she's made. Just one that we need to stop up. And I know I use that word quite a bit, but one I think that you can just kind of apply a little bit more to them, and I think that would change her quite a bit. Our fifth place doe here's one that again, maybe just doesn't fit the pattern of some of the ones we had all the way through, but that one's good enough on her feet and legs. She's big, she's stout, she's burly, she's obviously got some size to her, but I think we can just really get custom with her. She gets a little wasty, particularly up there in her head and neck area, but more importantly, you look at the ear placement, she's a little longer ear, just a little plainer in her overall make. We just need to see her a little more show-ready kind of one we put ahead of her, but an awful good five-hole there. And I'm intentionally doing it, and I'll tell you this, I think you got two does down here on this end that are pretty darn good. And I like the way they're built. These are the type that I'm talking about. And you've heard me say, I like front ends, I like stoutness, I like muscularity, and I like shape. Boy, they both have them, and I think they're both pretty good, and I think we need to talk about them as a group. You like them deeper, you like them softer. I think the young lady here up that with the more of the red cape though has that. Like the way that one really looks out of its shoulder blade right behind its shoulder, drives uphill, really is unique in the overall dimension and body shape and the wall all the way through, pulls down at her flank, plenty of shag, plenty of hair. Obviously that's not the biggest play factor in there, but I'm here to tell you, if you show them that you got it and you want to win, you better have hair, and they better be worked hair, and you've got that, and that one's pretty good. Things that we want to change, I think again, I think when you really get analyzing that one, she's a little bigger in her blade, and I think more importantly right there in that jump muscle, particularly in her hip, she wants to get ever so slightly higher right in that aspect. I think when you really get that one showing off, I just need to see the overall top line a little more unique and a little more blended all the way through, and I think we can do that, but boy, that doe is awfully good. You know, every time I look at one, the first word that pops in my brain is balance, and that one's awfully good that time. Then we got the freak on the leash, and I won't lie, this one is freaky in a lot of ways. Boy, she's beautiful up front. She has little to no chest floor all the way through. I think her rib shape and her dimension is absolutely fantastic. Put your hands on that one, you'll be massively surprised. That one handles big all the way through. Here's what I'm going to say. When you get them that out, you get them that big, sometimes we've got to sacrifice a few things. And I think when we get into that one's front shoulder, boy, I sat back and I've read it and I've looked at it and I watched her walk. Does she get a little straight fronted? Yeah. Is she still adequate? I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt there, but that one there just gets a little bit straight in her front shoulder, but I think again, you get them parked on the side. Those are two pretty good does, two totally polar opposites in the way they can, but I will say this, I've talked about it and I've said it and I've looked at it. I'm a sucker for a front end, I like a chest, and I think you got to have power and muscle and all the way shaped through. Guys, if you didn't understand what I'm saying, focus your attention down here. That's what we've been looking for all day long. Those are two pretty good ones in my opinion. Unfortunately, we got to pick a winner and then we got to have a second one in this class. But boy, these are the type that I like, the kind that I like. I'm good all the way through. I think you got to sacrifice, you got to pick your poison, and that's what it is going to be out here today. Again, put our hands together for two young ladies that brought on two nice ones out here for me today. I get to pick, I get to choose, I get to kind of do what I want. I think you got to look through, and the telltale difference is things you guys can't see. When you put your hands on there, one of them just explodes with the humongous top and the way all the way through. Again, congratulations, girl. You're both good today. Young lady, you're going to be first, and you're going to be second in this class.
The conclusion of that class, results are as follows. First to Ashton Rohr, second to Carmen Knott, third to Deanna Sykert, fourth to Bella Verdiglione, fifth to Elliot Weishauer, sixth to Caitlin Carter, seventh to Alyssa Costa, eighth on that page before is Noah Wachter, ninth is Dylan Polling. If you're reading down the program, 875 964 3, 2, and 1. In the ring now, we should have I have Gavin McLeod and Ashton Rohr back in the ring.
We bring them back out in here, and I think all four of them are very good. I tried to explain them the best I possibly can, and I'll be the first to admit I'm not a very good liar, and I'm not going to kind of go on this long spiel of everything like that. If you heard me talk them in class, I'm pretty rock solid. I think there's an awful good one, and I think there's a very good one that kind of follows it right in. These two young ladies right here are going to be your grand and reserve, or first and second, however you want to put it, in this class.
We will see Ashton and Carmen back at the end of the drive to pick your champion commercial. In the ring now, we should have class 79, starting with Owen Lavia, Quinn Hartner, Hannon Gendel, Madeline Green, Emma Harrison, Jalen Belisack, and Everett Williamson. I'm looking for class 80 to ringside. Rayleigh Barron, Elena Martin, Gavin McLeod, Adriana Leeds, Violet Miller, Kelsey Condon, and Cole Summerfield. Please make your way to ringside.
Class of 5, I think we we bring them out. One I'm satisfied with to start with. I like the front end, I like the shape and dimension, I like the roundness of rib shape. More importantly, right behind the shoulder, the way she kind of wants to open up there with the arch and strength to her dimension. She's long enough sided, definitely packs the most muscle of any of them out here today. And I think she does go in an okay skeleton. I think that, you want to be critical and you kind of watch her when she wants to fight that chain ever so slightly when she walks around the ring. She kind of wants to tuck them hind legs up underneath her. Not perfect in the way I need her just to kind of place them hind legs back, but there's one I think when she just relaxes, she gets out here, she has a lot of good pieces. She wins the class, in my opinion, quite handily. Young lady that we got in second here again is a very good doe, and I think there's a place for this doe. She has an ample amount of muscle. She's average there to above, but more importantly, I stand back and I look at her. She's right in her shoulder, she's right in her ribs, she's deep in her flank. She pulls enough muscularity and shape to kind of keep her balance from behind. One that's really good in her overall height and kind of makeup. Maybe just not as old, whistle fronted, just out there as our class winner and as stout in her overall makeup. That's a good doe that's functional, that's right, that I promise you. Made her right. I'm very confident that's an awful good doe to put in second. The big red doe that we're putting in here in third, I think when you compare them without the class all the way through, she just has more. Obviously, she has more size, she has more weight. But I think when you look at her and you really get down and you get critical, put your hands on them and get right behind them, that one just works more muscularity and shape down her top, particularly in her loin. I like the way she ties into that hip and her hind leg, but more importantly, she just works out muscularity and shape in the lower 1/3 compared to the two that we put ahead of her behind them there. I think we go 4 and 5, and I think you can kind of talk about them both in the way they're made. They're good enough in their structure, and they're good enough in their overall makeup. I think you get out here and you get looking at them, and you really get kind of going on them, and you look at the flatness of the rib and the way they do. They kind of get concave in the way they work. I just need to see them blown apart, a little more arch and spring to a rib, kind of compared to ones ahead of them. Two good does that we're going to kind of finish the class off with.
Results of Class 79 is as follows. Congratulations to Madeline Green. Second to Hannah Gendel. Third to Emma Harrison. Fourth to Quinn Hartner. And fifth to Owen Lavia. If you're reading down your program, 5, 4, 2, 1, 3. Scratch, scratch. Class 80 has the following exhibitors. Rayleigh Barron, Elena Martin, Gavin McLeod, Adriana Leeds, Violet Miller, Kelsey Condon, and Cole Summerfield. I am looking for Class 81. Class 81, I need you at ringside at this time.
class out here, and be the first to admit it's pretty challenging. They're getting pretty old, they're getting pretty big, and some of them are losing their freshness and the way they're built. And I think when you look out here, there's some pretty good does over here, and I think they're big and they're stout, and they've got a right time and a right place. To me, the right time and right place right now would be in a pasture and kind of being productive goats, kind of working all the way through. They're good show does, but the older they get, they're kind of emphasizing their pulse a little bit. They kind of get a little funky on their hind legs, and maybe just don't balance up like a lot of them should in the way they are. But I think when we flip down here, I think we got a pair of does. We got a black doe and a red doe. I'm going to use the black doe to win, and I think when you look at her, she's just quite truthfully fresher and longer about her head, neck, and longer about her body. Is she perfect in the way she is in that shoulder? No, she's not. Does she get a little crusty in that neck and particularly the apex of her shoulder? Yeah, she does, but I think she's fresh enough, youthful enough, and quite truthfully, she does have that muscularity and shape to kind of logically fit in with some of the ones we've used previously out here today. The red goat that we're going to put in second. Now, I think here's one that a lot of people would say, boy, she's just kind of one of the smaller ones out here. Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all. She's built incredibly well, and quite truthfully, she's more fresh. She's more fresh, she's more feminine, she's in the better rig. That's why she's there. She's just in better shape and better rig, and I think more elegant in the way she's made. She still looks like a good show doe. To me, that logically just kind of puts her right in there in second. So we'll go the black goat first, the red goat second. I think when we look at third, fourth, and fifth, and I think here's where we kind of go all the way through. The young lady that was gray-headed one here, I think has an awful good doe. Gets a little straighter up in that front shoulder, maybe doesn't have the overall shape and dimension that we ideally like to see. But again, I think when we compare her as a total classmate and everything through, she's probably one of the braver ones out here, but I like her style and her balance and obviously her femininity to kind of go through. I think we kind of conclude with these three does down here, and I don't care how you look at them, and you mix them up and you kind of want to go with it. I think they're does that are a little bit past their prime, in my opinion. They need to kind of go on and be bigger and better, kind of be mamas, and kind of start raising some of these things. But I say so because the bigger they get, the older they get. They're kind of like me. Maybe you won't believe this, but at one time I was in shape, okay? Not the best of shape, but I was in better shape than what I am right now. The older I get, I kind of want to get over a little bit in their top line, and I kind of want to get a little slower in my movement, and that's what they're doing right out here. They're just a little older. They're kind of past their prime to me. I think the young ladies all did a great job all the way through. We just need to make them a little fresher to kind of compete with the ones that we put ahead of them out here.
Results of Class 80 is as follows. First was Gavin McLeod. Second was Riley Barron. Third was Adriana Leeds. Fourth was Violet Miller. Fifth was Kelsey Condon. Sixth was Elena Martin. Reading down your program, 261, 345, scratch. Class 81 is in the ring. I'm looking for Colton Schofield, Jamie Lynn Weidman, and Ariella Currents. Betcha that's Ariella Currents. Should be three. Three in. At the conclusion of this class, I need all junior does, first and seconds, back to ringside. From class 78, 77? Class 77 through class 81 needs to be ringside first and seconds. Thank you.
We bring a trio of goats out here, and I'm going to lead the way they're standing to me on my far right. The young man with the all red goat, I think, wins this class and does so quite handily. And I window that definitely has a purpose in there. We just need to be a little critical on that one and just say, man, I just want to see her wider all the way through to kind of compete with the two that we put ahead of them, but really a nice trio that we have out here.
Results of Class 81 is as follows. First to Colton Schofield, second to Jamie Lynn Weidman, and third to Ariella Currens. All right, we're going to start with Class 77. I'm looking for Elena Martin. You guys need to nod to me. Elena coming in? Okay. From Class 78, we should have Ashton Rohr. From Class 79, I should have Madeline Green. From Class 80, it should be Gavin McLeod. And from Class 81 should be Colton Schofield. Our seconds are as follows: Jamie Lynn Weidman, Brianna Cranford, Carmen Knotts, Hannah Gendel, Riley Barron, and Jamie Lynn Weidman. Judge, this is your selection for champion and reserve junior doe.
We bring out our division champs, our class champs, to select the division out here. And first and foremost, we've had a lot of good goats come out here. We've got a few winners out here. If you guys don't mind, put your hands together for a really nice division that we put through out here and give me the opportunity to judge. And as you guys can tell, I've talked them pretty thoroughly all the way through. I think there's a lot of give and take to go out here. Is my champion perfect? No, I'll be the first one to admit. But guess what? Either am I or either are you. There's only one person that's perfect in my mind, and he's the guy upstairs. So I think we can kind of look through, we can kind of analyze, pick the ones you want. I want him to be tall fronted, I want him to be wide in the chest, I want him to be elegant throughout the front 1/3. I think they need to have muscularity, they got to have shape. We got to take these type of females and hopefully get them kitted out where they're having those weathers that we're going to show here tomorrow and kind of put in there. So they got to have some stoutness, but they still got to have some look. They need to be functional, and I think when you look at them, they're all good enough on the front end, and they're all good enough on their legs all the way through, but I think when you kind of really go through, they're down on this end right here. And I think when you kind of look through them, you're pitting them the bits and pieces. Guys, my kids show livestock. We raise these kind of goats. We're looking for the ones that are kind of outliers, if you want to put it that way. The ones that have them extra bells and whistles, and quite truthfully, the ones that are going to bring a premium when you put them in a sale. Good looking, still stout enough, still good enough made, and I think we've got a pair of them out here that aren't just exactly alike all the way through, but boy, for this guy right here, I'm pretty confident I'm going to go out and grab you two that really, really hit me hard all the way through. If you guys don't mind, put your hands together one more time. I'm going to select your champion to reserve.
Congratulations, your champion was exhibited by Ashton Rohr and your reserve by Carmen Knotts. We do need Class 83. Class 83, I'm looking for Jason Weidman, single entry. Single entry by Jason Weidman. And then I'm going to need Class 84, Kyle Williams, Jalen Belisek, Dylan Ridinger, Samantha Galt, Emma Harrison. Right now I'm looking for Class 83, single entry by Jason. We have a single entry in this class. Jason is in the ring. I am looking for Class 84 in the makeup area at this time. Class 84, Kyle Williams, Jalen Belisek, Dylan Ridinger, Samantha Galt, and Emma Harrison. You're needed in the makeup area at this time. Class 84.
Again, we have a single injury out here, and it makes it quite easy on my things. But I guess as a judge, you look through and you say, okay, what's the first thing you notice about this one? Man, that one's super great front, okay? And I like that about that one. Does she get a little stale in her head and a little crusty up there? Yeah, she does, but she's getting older, she's kidded, she's done everything. I like the elegance, the one that just kind of walks around the ring on a relatively good muscle pattern, but more importantly, she's sound. And I think that's good, and that's one that can be productive. Really a good single entry that we brought in here.
Congratulations, Jason Wyman. Jason, we will need you back in the ring in just a couple classes. In the ring now, I'm bringing Class 84. I have 5 on my paper. Kyle Williams, Jalen Belisek, Dylan Ridinger, Samantha Galt, and Emma Harrison. This is your class judge. We have all 5 entries. In the makeup area, I need the following exhibitors for Class 85. Rayleigh Barron, Dylan Ridinger, Colton Schofield, and Gavin McLeod. Kelsey Condon, Alyssa Costa, and a second entry by Kelsey Condon. Again, Class 85, I need you in the makeup area.
We bring in this other class that we got out here, and I think to me, it breaks apart pretty logical. Let me explain my differences and what I see. I think the young lady that wins the class, you've heard me talk about stoutness, you've heard me talk about muscularity and bone. I think that one has all the above, and particularly when you put your hands on that one, I really, really like the shape and dimension that one still carries with this age and this dimension. She's still got a big old back in her all the way through. Does she get a little waisty up front? Yeah, she does, and maybe isn't just perfect on her hind leg, but I think there's one that, boy, you just have to appreciate the overall rib shape, the way she matches up, the way she mounts. The interesting one to me is the young lady that we're going to put in second. Here's one that you love the front 1/3 of her. Does she kind of want to throw out her chest a little more than ideal? And does she get a little bigger shoulder? Yeah, she does all the way through. But then again, you kind of look at her from here, point to point, and that would be from the top of her shoulder to her hip. Super jet level, very unique underneath her bottom line there, the way she holds her chest and her overall rib shape. Probably the most surprising thing to me is you put your hands on that one. That handle's big. She's got a big old loin to her. Doesn't look like it from here and maybe from the crowd on that aspect, but I promise you this, when you put your hands on that one's big back and big loin, and I think she logically goes second. Here's a big burly one that we're going to put in third, and I think without a doubt, she does have a few extras there that a lot of people like and we'll talk about, but to me it's right there. When she stops and you particularly get on that hind leg, she wants to tuck them hind legs underneath her just a little more than ideal. When she does so, she kind of wants to drop her hip. She just don't travel around the ring quite as well as the first two that we put ahead of them, but a big stout doe that's really elegant in her front 1/3. Again, just kind of iffy off them back legs. I need to see her move better, maybe kind of hold them harder, and when she walks, I need to take her a little longer, more affluent stride that kind of works all the way through. Then we got one that's just, without a doubt, the biggest bellied one that we've seen out here, the biggest ribbed one. But I think with those things being said, that's your first obvious that you really, really like about her. But then you get on this view. She's a little bigger in her chest, doesn't quite balance up quite as well as some of the others. And I think that's because of age. I'm sure when she was younger, she was a little bit more silhouette the way she looks. I just think she just kind of wants to get out-horsed out there as far as muscle and just overall femininity to kind of go on through. The young lady that concludes the class, here's one that just today just didn't have it going for her. She's kind of a little frailer in her overall makeup. Maybe isn't in quite as good a rig and shape and feedability as some of the ones that we put ahead of them. A nice doe, and the young lady does a great job showing. Again, it sounds like a broken record, but we just need to see more to kind of elevate that one and put her on up in the class.
Results of Class 84 is as follows. Congratulations to Samantha Gulf. Second is Jalen Belisek. Third is Kyle Williams. Fourth is Dylan Ridinger. Fifth is Emma Harrison. Reading down your program, 3, 2, 4, 1, 5. Class 85. We should have 7 entries, including Rayleigh Barron, Dylan Ridinger, Colton Schofield, Gavin McLeod, Kinsley Condon, Alyssa Costa, and a second entry by Kelsey Condon. If you had a first or second in the senior doe division, first or second, we need you at ringside so that we can select our champion senior doe at the conclusion of this class. Thank you.
No, he only has two. Well, and he has a fucking Scott. I mean, we live in a neighborhood. We ran a stop. We're nice. I'm in the southern end of our county, which is very rural. But our older farmer
Again, a very challenging class out here for me, I guess, in the way I look at these and how older they're getting and, they kidded, they haven't kidded, and I don't know. That's the bottom line is, and I think you can go through and you can say, okay, how many kids does this one have or where we at and how it goes, and whether they tell you the truth or not, we're going to hope they would, and just it's easier for a judge just not to ask, I guess, just kind of go through it. Is there one that's perfect? Is there one that just really comes out and says, hey, I'm going to win this class? No, not at all. And I think I'm going to say this, and I've tried to do my best explaining and working and kind of going through and talking about each and every one of them. I call it transparency. And I'm going to say this in a constructive way. Yes, I know we got the class. I know what it is, but these does are getting pretty old. They're getting pretty big. And I think when you do so and you kind of get them out here, with that does come issues. And I think you got to look through and you just got to say, man, I can't, I got to judge what's in front of me and what is and how is, and just kind of place them on those things and not know anything about their track record and how they do. And if you don't race them, you understand this. And here's what I'm going to say. When these things go to kid out, they throw a lot of things. And the great ones stay looking good all the time. And the ones that kind of have some issues really focus on issues and they throw them out and they get bigger and more prominent when they kind of come out here. I think our class winner, in my opinion, just logically fits there. You look at her from a skeletal aspect, that's a pretty good one. All four toes point straight forward. Her underline's really good. You look at her teeth placement, that's totally fine in my opinion, a 1-and-1. How you kind of go all the way through. I like the style. I like the balance. She's obviously got some rib shape and dimension. She's held together pretty good all the way through. And I think in saying that, she just logically goes second to me. And then I think goes first in here all the way through. When I kind of look at the one in second, again, youthful is the way I look at her, but here's what I would say. The big thing that I focus is that one long neck. Yes, it is. Does that one have a good head? Yes, it does. It's still youthful in its overall appearance. I think it is pretty good. Are there some things we want to change? She's not perfect in her hip. I'd be the first to admit she's youthful, she's good. And again, we talk about it when we get in these older ones. Boy, that's a pretty good udder that one has on her, and I like the way those kids are prominent there, but yet small in its overall size and its overall type and kind of good. Then we got the big stout one that we're putting in here in third, and I think, yes, she obviously weighs as much as anything in the class, and she's got a tremendous amount of product all the way through. But again, when you really kind of get out here and you get looking and the heavier bred they are and the different things they are, you just kind of focus on the top line. She wants to break right there. Doesn't just hold herself ideally all the way through. Good go, and I think she's a little faster prime. But again, when we look at her, we commend her for her overall shape and dimension all the way through. The young man that's got the red doe over here, again, super long-sided, good in its overall makeup, maybe a little bigger neck than I ideally like to see. Wants to get a little broader and a little, wastier there. Doesn't have the overall length, but I think get past that one balances up. I'm going to say this, I commend her for her foot an awful good one to win that class.
Results of our last class. First was awarded to Alyssa Costa. Second to Dylan Ridinger. Third to Gavin McLeod. Fourth to Colton Schofield. Fifth to Kelsey Condon. Sixth to Raylene Barron. Seventh to Kelsey Condon. And you're following along 6243715. In the ring now, from Class 83 is Jason Wigman. From Class 84 is Samantha Gauck, and from Class 85 is Alyssa Costa. Your seconds are Jalen Belisack and Dylan Ridinger. Dams and daughter to the makeup area.
We get into this older division, maybe didn't have quite the numbers as some of the younger ones, and that's totally understandable. And, you know, I'm going to say it like this. I think they're a bunch of... Really a nice class out here, and I do appreciate the dam and the baby, or the dam and the kids, and however you want to look at it out here. And, I think it kind of breaks apart, in my opinion, and here's what I'm going to say. You hopefully, when you buy these things and you work these things, that once you're done with them and you get them bred, that they produce better. And that's the bottom line. And I think each and every one of them has produced better, but this one that I'm going to use right here at first, in my opinion, just doesn't quite handle it. I think when I analyzed the big doe, I talked about her being a little bit PC, and maybe she wants to run downhill just a little bit. Whatever he made in that one too, that little doe's fixing it. She's kind of getting a little more upright in her shoulder and a little good in her build. A lot of power, a lot of muscle in that set. Really a nice set all the way through. I think how you do it. Then we kind of logically come through and we kind of go through the way we look at them. In my opinion, the way it is, we got that young lady that's coming out here in a second. I I know that doe's a little older, and the way she does things, that's impressive. I'm not going to lie. She's produced, and she keeps on producing. That's the name of the game. Excuse me on that. But I think that's really important because you got one that's functional and it's made you some money. And I don't care how you look at it. The bottom line is, yeah, we love to like these pretty ribbons and we want to win. But the bottom line is, if they don't produce enough to where they don't pay for themselves, that's nothing that's going to work. And in my opinion, she does so, and she's did it for quite a long time. Then we got our elegant ones that we're going to put here in third. Love the front ends and all of them. Again, they may be just a little bit stouter in the way they are and their overall makeup. But boy, carbon copies of one another. They both look good. The mama's also did a great job on that udder and the way she's produced it. And that kid's also good and so far. Go ahead and put her hands together for the dam and daughter group.
All right, so results of your dam and daughter is as follows. First went to Gavin McLeod, second to Alyssa Costa, third went to Dylan Ridinger, fourth went to Colton Schofield, fifth went to Rayleigh Barron, sixth went to Kelsey Condon, and seventh to Emma Harrison. We're starting our commercial buck class at this time. We have Rayleigh Barron, Kelsey Condon, 2 entries, Brianna Crawford, James Holt, Emma Harrison, 2 entries, and Boone Harrison, 1 entry. Looking for Class 89 to the makeup area at this time. 90, sorry. Class 90 will be taken care of. So we will have, this class will be your Grand and Reserve Grand Champion buck.
We're going to go ahead and lead off with our class winner here, and I promise you this is one I like. That's a pretty good buck, and I think when you look at the other lady the way it is, size, scale, muscularity, look at the bottom line in there, kind of take that 3/4 view, the way that one props up, has a big old hip on its big pin placement all the way through. That's just a nice, solid, good commercial buck that obviously has a reason to be out here. That one, I guess most people would say, in my opinion, that one brought a gun to a knife fight, in my opinion. That one there just wins. And she does so quite hard. He does off ever so slightly, and I think when it wants to plant, it just kind of wants to overplant off those hind legs, and when you do so, it maybe gives you an awkward look. Love the front end, like the point of shoulder, like the way that one's rib shape kind of goes in there. Then we're going to come in third, and I think this one just logically goes in third. I don't know that it's excessive anything, okay, but it's good and it's solid in a lot of things. It's structurally correct. It's got some quality all the way through. Obviously, that one's long fronted, big shoulder, kind of works all the way in. Like the way that one balances up, and it just logically goes in this third hole in this class. If you don't mind, go ahead and put our hands together for an awful good buck class.
Results of the class and your grand champion commercial buck was awarded to Brenna Crawford. Second and your reserve to Kelsey Condon with 3250. Third to Kelsey Condon with tattoo number 3135. Fourth was Emma Harrison. Fifth, Emma Harrison. Sixth, Rayleigh Barron, and seventh, Caboon Harrison.
We bring out both bucks there out of each of the respective divisions. Both of them's got some quality. Both of them got some times through. I just think one balances up a lot more than the other. It just puts a lot more power, product, depth of rib, and body shape and dimension all the way through. The young lady right here out of my last class that I just judged, she's going to have your spring buck.
Cranford. Congratulations, Brenna Cranford, for exhibiting your supreme buck. And we only pick one. We're going to pick our supreme doe, and then we're going to take pictures, and everyone's going to bed. Deal? Okay. I might take a shower first, though. All right. Your overall champion for your registered division was Deanna Syker. And your champion from your commercial division was Ashton Rohr. I don't know about anything else, but these are really two good does.
I know we're getting late out here in the evening, and you guys are probably getting tired of hearing me talk. Let me explain myself just a little bit. I hope to talk them as much as I possibly can. I call out big picture items. I try to call things that they mean. We want to change just a little bit, kind of work through, but most importantly, I want to be honest in the way I look at them and how I see them out here. Hey, today is my opinion, and a different day could be someone else's. I don't have a problem saying that in any way, shape, or form. I've had the opportunity to judge these things in a lot of places, in a lot of states, and a lot of times all the way through. I know the first announcer kept saying I was from Indiana. I grew up in Indiana. I'm now an agriculture and young farmer teacher in Georgia. My kids have grown up loving. My daughter shows, my son shows. He's kind of a turncoat. He's at Clemson right now. I'm not really sure of that. But we go with it how it is. And I've always taught my kids we're going to try to get the best that we possibly can. But more importantly, when we get those, you guys got to work with them. You got to show them. You got to make them the best they possibly can. And it doesn't just come out here right now and say, okay, get them stuck. It starts a lot of home. Look at the freshness. Look at the hair coat. Look at the hoof trim. Look at the overall clipping that these does have had. They surface for a reason because they've done their homework at home and they've done a great job. My hat's off to the ladies over here. They put on a good show. We had a couple of hiccups, but guess what? We got to the end point where we needed to be. I'm totally satisfied in this. And guys, there's no secret. These two young ladies are out here, and there's I commend everything we do. We're going to look at the weathers tomorrow. I know it's getting late all the way out here tonight. Boys, I'm here to tell you, I like both of them, and they're a lot closer than what people would think out here, and I think they're both very, very good. But I'm one that races a certain kind and a certain type, and the ones that I like are the ones that I raise, and the ones that I raise are the ones that I'm going to pick out here. And I think there's one that the young lady might not really understand how good that doe is, and I think she's pretty nice all the way through. Is she perfect? No. Does she get a little straight in her front every now and then? Yep, but boy, you get them on the profile and take a backdrop picture. I'll be glad to hold the banner on this one anytime. Thank you again for everything. We'll see you all tomorrow night. If you guys don't mind, let's go ahead and put our hands together with this young lady right here in mind. She's going to be a champion overall doe out here.
We'd like to congratulate Ashton Rohr for exhibiting your Supreme Doe at the 2026 Maryland State Fair Breeding Meet Goat Show. We'd like to thank our judge, Kip Williams, for being here with us today and powering through some of the challenges we faced. We're going to take some pictures right now, and then we will see you all back here in this ring tomorrow for our next group of shows.